And a lot of that's because the mishandling of Trump come out and saying it's all a hoax. And then Roger Stone went and talked to him and said, no, sir, you mean the stuff about you being involved is a hoax? Yeah, that's what I meant. But still, a few days ago, Pam Bondi said, we're moving on at the White House. Well, the rest of us aren't moving on. And so they are implicating themselves, even though I've researched step one side down the other, and there's very little bad stuff Republicans are in there doing. Epstein was mainly a Democrat, leftist system. That's why he's allied with all these leftist politicians in Europe that are having to resign, in the UK and
yep.
Europe proper. So I'm just calling like it is. If I find something with Republicans, or if I find something that they're doing, I'll go after them. But so far, we found almost nothing except for the old Republican Party, where Epstein originally got launched from. Then he became an operative of the Democrats. And if you want, I can do some of the background history on that, why I was the first to report on Epstein 18 years ago.
That's good.
Sorry about this, folks. Maybe more olive oil. We got it. So I've been on air 32 years, and I was on local radio, then it got syndicated, and there weren't any other shows like mine really that were on commercial radio. They were on shortwave and like little conferences and books, and they were great people. And so I got to interview Ted Gunderson, who was high-level FBI retired. In fact, he was tapped to be the director, but he was too conservative, so he didn't get it when Hoover died. And I interviewed all these other top experts, like John DeCamp, that exposed the Franklin cover-up, and the Republican Party, the blue blood Republican Party, running kids, the same stuff for blackmail out of Omaha, Nebraska, and out of New York, and out of Penn State, and a bunch of other places. And that was cut and dry. They caught them. They went to jail. But it then got shut down. And a bunch of the people involved in the pedophile rings all magically died. So I knew John DeCamp, interviewed him many times, Ted Gunderson many times. And so they told me all of this. Kathy O'Brien, which has now been totally vindicated, she had been an MK Ultra mind control program that was attached to this. And a lot of that's been declassified. And so I knew about all this and heard about all this from them. And so I understood that. Then it also came out in 1990, 1989, all front page Washington Times. I've seen you cover it. Underage call boys, midnight visits White House. And so you have to understand that George Herbert Walker Bush had been the CIA director, youngest ever. Never been in the CIA. They said when they put him in there in the 70s, not true. He was basically researched. It was even in the documents running the JFK assassination operation as the man on the ground in 1963. So that was his little reward. But later He's the head of the CIA, and then he's the head of the country. And he brings in Wes Wexler, and he is a Victoria's Secret, all of that. He is the handler of Epstein, who also works with Bill Barr, who had been the CIA liaison in Iran-Contra. Even at his young age, he ran Iran-Contra for George Herbert Walker Bush in a compartmentalized program under Reagan that Reagan didn't know about, and there was a big scandal over that. So then Barr gets promoted to be attorney general, and then he's brought back by Trump later. So thank you. He's been attorney general twice. And now Mike Benz exposed a bunch of this that wasn't part of the Epstein files, but no one went to look for now in the millions and millions of public files. It was Bill Barr, George Herbert Walker Bush, the Les Wexner, and all of them in the early 90s that set up a CIA airline like Air America 2.0 or Evergreen Transportation in Ohio. They used for the first funding of that the Somali conflict, and they bring in the first 30,000 Somalis into Ohio. Okay, and this
is what year?
This is 1991.
Okay,
and this is all public. And a lot of this research, I had a lot of this research, but then I've watched like 10 hours of Mike Benz, just every 6-hour, 4-hour programs, just this document, that document, totally mapping it. So you have the CIA with Bill Barr bringing in Epstein to be basically the front man for the airline. So he's already, by 1991, he is already the head of the cutout for major CIA operations. Now, why'd they pick him? Bill Barr's father was like number 5 in OSS in World War II. Then he was like number 3 in CIA. This is all public. Then he runs an all-girls school in New York that Epstein is hired at like 26 years old to come in and, boy, suddenly becomes like the deputy principal over these girls. Donald Barr then writes a book called Space Relations.
Strangest book.
About humans working with aliens to kidnap children in sex slavery on a faraway planet. So very nice person. The point is that they are it's Bill Barr, known CIA, his dad, known CIA, Herbert Walker Bush, known CIA. They use the cutout first money, claiming it's for Somali refugees, and they get a couple $1 billion to set up hundreds of aircraft, some of them, like passenger jets. They set all this up, and they're using it for money laundering, drug trafficking. It wasn't just Mena, Arkansas, and the Clintons over here working with the CIA and the Bushes. That's all come out. It was also over here in Ohio. And so that's how important Epstein was all the way through, that he was so trusted that he was put in charge. Now, I didn't know this till the Bannon interview came out, that was not released by Bannon, but was in the Epstein files, the 2-hour interview from 2017 or 18.
It is disturbing to realize that a lot of what was going on with Epstein, well, when it comes to Lex Wexner, was definitely going through Ohio and Columbus. Like, even the Columbus police was implicated in the Epstein files, and it got pretty strange. I mean, there was even talking about the there's this like city on the outskirts. It's like one of them little farm cities, and there's a rumor that there's farms out there that literally takes in kids to have them work on the farm, and it's like child trafficking for labor and other stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
And Miriam,
that are implicated in the Epstein files.
Yeah, I think they probably used Ohio is like one of the last places you'd think something like that would happen, and that's probably why they used it.
It makes sense though. The only reason it makes sense is because like we're a huge transportation, like we're huge on logistics. So if you want to transport anything from drugs, people, I mean, regular product is gonna go through Ohio, and it's easier to do through Ohio. I mean, that's why Epstein owned that's why Epstein owned one of those transportation companies or those trucking companies that move in Ohio throughout the east side of the United States.
They found that I think it was like about 15, 20 years ago in my hometown, there's a storage facility, and it's right off of US 24, which goes from Indiana to Pennsylvania. It's a straight shot. When they got into that storage unit, huh?
You guys talking about Marion, Ohio?
No, I'm talking about, S.E.T was currently, I'm talking about Northwest Ohio, a small town in Northwest Ohio where I grew up. When they got a tip about a storage unit in our hometown, and they opened it up, and it was one of the large storage units. I think it was like 10 by 8 or 10 by 10 or something like that. It was huge, and inside it was filled from floor to ceiling with cocaine, ecstasy, acid, heroin, and this was about 15, 20 years ago. Because we've got
files.
But all right, back to the video though.
What does that have to do with the Epstein files? I'm confused.
Well, I'm saying the transportation. Ohio is used for a lot of that.
Yep. But all right, let's get back to it.
Okay, so nothing to do. Okay.
Everybody's got to watch it, because I thought, this is going to be boring. I watched it. My mouth was hanging open. I knew that Epstein was part of the Trilateral Commission, but that's like saying you're the head of, Valuetainment, and then you've got, a secretary or something. That's important, but they're not the head of it. I thought, okay, but he must have. I always heard he was in the Trilateral Commission. No, I'm watching that show, that interview, and he's like, no, David Rockefeller approached me to be his right-hand man for systems analysis, so I could integrate all these systems together. And because they had too many experts at just one level, and he knew about my work, with some other groups, being the CIA. So he brought me in to be his representative. And so they put him on the board of the Trilateral Commission, which is one of the most powerful globalist elite or super organizational systems, precursor to the World Economic Forum. So Larry thinks the head of the World Economic Forum today was Klaus Schwab. It's equivalent of him, of a 30-year-old being on the board of the WEF today, okay, which has co-voting rights with the UN. So he is the protege and attaché and basically imperial legate. That's a Roman term for someone that can speak for the emperor. David Rockefeller set up the UN, set up the modern globalist system. He's on record doing it all. Here is a 30-year-old man that is literally given the control to fly around the world and be the representative of David Rockefeller.
He's saying this in the Steve Bannon interview?
He is, but then here's what, I didn't just believe Jeffrey Epstein. I already knew I went and looked all this up, and it's all public. So it was all the Trilateral Commission has documents on its own site and talks about the meetings and the things that Epstein chaired meetings with world leaders. So we knew decades later he's got all these world leaders calling him and all this stuff. But he was what's the Trilateral Commission do? It's all the leaders, the intelligence agencies, the big corporations, the governments and academia,
Hey, Seth.
all together, just the leadership. And then coordinates globally through the three pillars, Europe, Asia, and North America. The point is, this is the precursor to everything we see today. And so now you know what the Epstein thing is really all about. Now, obviously, through the underage stuff and the pedophilia that he was brought in, clearly, when he went to that girls' school and the rest of it, that's just the gateway drug with these people from my studying of them and what Ted Gunderson and all of them told me. And they explained that, no, they really do, like to torture kids and drain off their blood and have the endorphins, not just the adrenaline. And so I knew all this MO. And so that's how I was able to explain to people. People found videos now 18 years old and posted right now on Infowars.com today, where I'm saying, no, it's a cult, it's Satanism, it's black magic. This is what they really do. Because it's not just Epstein, it's the people up above him to be able to do the horrible stuff they do. They have worldviews and world models that we're just animals that we need to be sacrificed, that they're the Ubermenschen because they're willing to do this. We're weak, they're not. And so you have to understand, this is a standardized system. Before they called it mind control, before they called it intelligence agencies, before they called it that, they called it secret societies. And really all secret societies have been, some have been good, some have been bad, some have been a mix. But the bad ones, the dark ones as they call it, the occult ones, the hidden ones, they have always used torture and drugs and sex and what you'd call mind control, trauma-based mind control. And just in the modern parlance, they took that and then institutionalized it. So you go to Skull and Bones, set up in the 1820s, or I think even earlier, by the main heirs to the Opium Trust of the British East India Company. That's public knowledge that they set up Skull and Bones.
Can you? I was just thinking, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. All I'm hearing is
you're turned really far down.
Stop this.
Hold on.
What?
Go ahead.
You're turned really far down. Like I can't hear you.
I can't. I don't have control over that.
There you go.
But
there you go.
All I'm hearing.
Kind of back.
Did we just lose him?
Yeah, I think so. But all right, back to the video.
Off of the Druidic and Germanic Druidic teachings, and we have this because the daughter of one of the members, when he was dying of cancer, gave it to his daughter, who was the head of Department of Education then under Reagan, Charlotte Isby, who I interviewed many times. Her father was on it. They gave the information to Anthony Sutton, the Senate archivist, and who I knew very well, talked to many times. And so they were able to release it. So what they do at Skull and Bones is this is the elites of the elites. Is they pick them, they get in it, and then they basically by increment explain to them, you're going to become possessed by a god. They don't call it a demon. And then all the Skull and Bones leadership comes in the last few days, and they've been for days sleeping naked in coffins, trying to channel these entities. They're bathing in feces, in huge vats, urine. And this is even in the movie The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, produced by Robert De Niro. And it's in there, and it's all that's what they do, and so imagine. All I'm saying is that's for people that are 18 years old, 19 years old. These are just like MS-13 wants you to not just kill somebody now; they want you to sacrifice them a carbon pentagram in them, and they want you to do it to a kid. That's now what they've graduated their initiations to higher up leadership is, and so again. It's the same thing where it's a rite of passage. You got to do horrible things to prove yourself. And that's what this all is. And so that's how I was able to tell everybody that it's far worse than 14-year-old girls. They've just focused on them because here's the thing. I'm not against these women. They are victims. They were under Stockholm syndrome, but Elon Musk is right. Here's the big secret. What everybody, when you're growing up, tell you, what the FBI used to put in bulletins. Ice cream truck pulls up. There's a kid in the back. I got a puppy. Come see the toy. They use kids to other kids. The women that they've, settled with, and then the victims and all this stuff, almost all of them are the women that ended up working for Epstein for years and years and years,
recruiting other young girls to come to him. For
Absolutely.
$200, $100.
Absolutely,
You'll get paid.
Absolutely.
Can you
Some
hear me?
were bought at age. This is
Yep. And just speak on the whole Epstein's accomplices. Yeah, a lot of these Epstein's accomplices are still walking around. I mean, I guess the DOJ kind of see some of these girls as victims, girls that he brought in, he groomed, and they went out there to go do the same thing that he did to them. Yeah, we ain't really got any of them.
All I'm hearing is a whole fucking very good reason why we should stop with this fucking globalist, fucking allowing globalist influence into America. Stop listening to the fucking UN. Stop listening to the World Health Organization. Stop listening to the World Economic Forum. Stop with all of this fucking interconnected fucking economy, and just fucking stop. Like every single institution on a globalist scale has done nothing but fuck over the United States.
Is anyone else hearing something weird coming
Yeah,
over when
Monty's-
Monty's?
Yeah, it's Monty's
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, what's going on with your mic, bro?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Your voice is even distorted.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you. I have no settings on the mobile version of this.
Wow.
That didn't even sound like you, Monty.
It sounds like you're prepubescent.
I'm done. Sounds 20 years younger. But all right, though. Let's get back.
I don't know what to tell you.
public.
Is that better?
Eastern European parents flown here and then worked for him for decades. And so exactly, they're the ones that manage and run the women. And so when you see these women up there,
yep, yeah, you sound better now.
Is that better? I turned my mic all the way the fuck up.
Damn. Oh yeah, there's the frog again.
Yeah.
What?
The frog has came back.
What frog?
Oh, it's like a burp or something, like a ribbit.
Oh, are you talking about fucking? Oh god, I don't know what the hell that is, but I cannot sit here and screw with it. I've come in, come out, gone in, gone out like 5 times.
I get you.
You sounding pretty LGBTQ, my guy.
Alright, whatever, dude. Like fucking being a fuck.
All right.
Anyway.
Right.
No, okay.
All right, back to it.
You have to understand that in many cases, you're looking at people that for 5 years, 10 years worked for Epstein, and were part of it. But see, that's how they stop it. Those women then tell a limited story about what was going on. But then you read the names of some of the women, they're in all the emails preparing the beef jerky, walking the beef jerky up. They're in the things preparing it to be sent to the labs so to be broken down and sent to people. Let's get to the IV bags.
How's this?
I'm not trying to put these women down. I'm just saying, notice in the hearing yesterday or 2 days ago, they asked Bondi, they said, have you ever interviewed any of these women? And she goes, I don't know. So they asked.
Can you play the clip, Rob?
I'll find it.
Can you play
and they asked the women, and none of them have ever been talked to. But if you look, a couple of the women in there were actually girlfriends after they were adults and worked for Epstein for over a decade. And it turns out worked for George Soros. So see, I'm not trying to demonize the women. I'm just saying it's what you're seeing is not what you're actually getting here. Okay. And so it doesn't go down to all the kids that got eaten. It doesn't go down to all the kids that got strangled and thrown in the
Some of these girls that are up there, you're saying worked for Soros?
One of them, I can pull it up, currently does on the Tides Foundation.
Play the clip, Rob.
Ask them if that's true. Now, with the survivors and victims who are here, please stand up one more time. Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and estimate and evidence?
Pause it real quick.
Yo.
So you remember when I said something about, I said, this is going to be a hot take, but if they were really victims of Epstein, they wouldn't be trotting around doing open air interviews, because what happened, they did old girl, Virginia Beach or whatever her name was. They did her scandalous. They knocked her off quick, fast, and in a hurry. But these survivors, They just go into Congress. They're going on news cycles. They're telling their story. It's like, sure, they might be victims, but at the same time, if they're really victims like they say they are, they would have hushed them up.
I don't think that they were involved as deep as Virginia Dufresne, because Virginia Dufresne, remember, she was meeting like Epstein's accomplices, like people that he was like, really close with. Like she was in the thick of it with Epstein. These girls, they might have just got, sold that one time, graped that one time, and that's it. And then a lot of these girls, like the time that they were involved with Epstein, some of them are actually above age, like, so aka it wasn't a case of pedophilia, but it was a case of prostitution. So that's the only reason I think that they're not dead or they're not getting targeted is because they weren't as deep as Virginia Dufresne was with Epstein. Remember, she's the one that gave the picture of what was it, her and Prince Andrews together. None of them were close enough to get that off.